Hello, dear student. My name is Leila. I am one of the lecturer tutor from Brunel University, and I'm gonna walk you through one of the main subject in finance and business math, which is depreciation. So let's get started. So in this lesson, we're gonna look at different objectives which are gonna be for calculation of the depreciation with different methodology. First one is the prime cost method, second is the diminishing value method, and the third one is the unit of production. So what is actually depreciation and how we can define that? So actually, we can define and explain this term like a value of assets which gradually reduce over the time. So, and what's going to happen? So we look at this value and we look at how it changes during the time and during its useful life. And then the amount of the lost value, which is called appreciation, and represent the depreciation expense. The assets themselves are known as a depreciable assets. So, dear students, so what we're gonna go over this depreciation in this lesson is gonna be a different part of methodology which I just named it for you previously, that we're gonna find a useful method to be able to calculate the depreciation. So we have three different methodology as we said. So the first one is the prime cost, which is also called as straight lines. The second one is diminishing value, and the third one is unit of production. So let's start with straight line or prime cost methodology. So as you can see, this is the equation that you're going to be given at your exam, so don't worry about that, but we need to understand it now. So what is annual depreciation? It's going to be calculated by original cost price over effective life in years. So once an asset has been depreciated, it is then said to have a certain book value, which is its original value minus all of the depreciation deduction to date. So as we said about the formula, so I have one example for you in here. So let's look at the example, which we want to calculate the depreciation by using the first methodology, which is prime cost method or straight line. And here is the formula that you can use. If the asset costs $80,000 and has the effective life of 5 years, the depreciation rate is 20%, and the depreciation amount is 16,000 in each of the 5 years. And then the calculation gonna be 80,000, which is assessed cost multiplied by number of day in a year over number of day in a year, which gonna be 1, and then should be multiplied by depreciation rate, and then we're gonna have $16,000 as depreciation. So hope that you understand the first methodology. So actually the first methodology, we're gonna look at the purchase price of assets, the basic price, and then we're gonna reduce that and subtract by approximate salvage value. And then all of them gonna be divided by estimated useful life of asset. then we're going to have the appreciation. Sorry, depreciation. You're going to have another example that you can find time yourself and go through that. And if you have any question, I'm happy to answer that during the online lecture or in support class. So the second methodology gonna be diminishing value methodology, which actually, so this methodology, which I'm going to illustrate to you, is gonna tell you how to calculate depreciation expense accumulated depreciation using a double declining balance method, or here we don't have double, we just have the diminishing value method. So what we can do for calculating depreciation, we can use this formula. So for example, if we're gonna look at the price of the book, if you look at this example, this particular example, so you're gonna see that the book value at the end of year, K, is gonna be original cost multiplied by 1 minus depreciation rate to the power of K. So, and also accumulated depreciation at the end of year of K gonna be original cost, which is subtracted by book value at the end of year. So what is actually diminishing value? Diminishing value gonna help you to provide, to calculate a depreciation which allows business to determine the value of an asset based upon usage. And it's very common and familiar for manufacturing, and then can be used in the expected lifetime production as well. So what do you need to know for calculating diminishing value? Gonna be these three terms: cost basis of the assets, which the cost basis of a fixed asset is the total amount paid to get the assets up and running for use in your business. This typically includes the purchase price, sales tax, and then installation charge. Also, you can look at more example like shipping or delivery fees and so on. So salvage value of the assets, the second one, gonna be estimated value of what the assets would be worth if you were to sell it at the end of its useful life. For example, if you wanted to trade in an old car, its value would most likely be based on the Kelly Blue Book value, which is famous in this regard. The current value of the car based on the number of miles driven and its overall condition can be calculated. And then for finding the estimated number of units to be produced, the unit of production actually is based on the what is we call wear and tear on the machinery, and actually is the result of the number of units which is expected to produce over its useful life. And the last term is estimated useful life, which is actually can be calculated based on the length of time that you expect to use that asset before it wears out and needs to be replaced. It can be difficult to figure out how long an asset can be used, although units of production depreciation isn't used for tax purpose. So by knowing those key terms, we're gonna look at the formula for actually providing and calculating depreciation based on the second methodology method. But right now, what we're gonna look at is we want to find out that what is the difference between the first methodology, which was the prime cost, and then diminishing value. So actually, we can say two main differences between these two. The prime cost method actually is based on the assumption that the value of a depreciating asset decreases uniformly over its effective life. The diminishing value method, however, assumes that the value of a depreciating asset decreases more in the early year of its effective life. Perfect. Okay, so by knowing this formula, we're gonna go through another example to make sure that you understand it based on the extra concept and key terms. If the assets cost $80,000 and again, we're gonna say an effective life of 5 years, the depreciation amount for the first year will be, because it's first year, we're gonna have 365 over 365, right? Because it's 1 year, gonna be 1 year. And then we do have 20% over 5, which gonna be 32,000. The base value reduces each year by the decline in the value of the assets. This means that the base value of the second year will be 48,000. You can calculate it yourself to understand it, but this is actually the result of subtracted 32,000 by 80,000 for the first year. So overall, the depreciation for the second year will be 48,000 multiplied by 1, and then the depreciation rate, which gonna be $90,200. Okay, so we have another example in here that you can go through that yourself later on. If the assets cost $80,000 and has the effective life of 5 years, the depreciation rate is 20%. So they are all the assumption and given in the problem. And then the depreciation amount is 16,000 in each of 5 years. You can interpret like that. But you have another example in here, and a more example that you can go through that. But let's look at the first methodology. Unit of production. The unit of production methodology is actually is for calculating depreciation, and is going to be used during the useful life time, which for each particular object, and is determined by the total output rather than their age. So rate of depreciation gonna be calculated by using this formula: original cost price over effective life in terms of output. Actually, you can look at this as well. So one basic thing that I need to tell you in here is the unit of production depreciation formula can be calculated based on 2 steps. So here I have one example for you based on 2 different objects. So first one is the sewing machine, and the second one is the crane. So we have the cost, basic cost, and then we have salvage, and then we have the useful life, which is 7 years, and then we do have the total estimated unit produced over useful life, which is these numbers, and then we do have the units produced for period. So actually what you need to know, so these two examples of how to calculate the depreciation for fixed assets using the unit of production and depreciation method. The first is for a sewing machine, and the second is for a crane purchase for your factory. So the unit of the production depreciation method requires the cost basis, salvage value, estimated useful life, total estimated lifetime, and actually units produced for the same calculation. So how are we going to calculate that? As I said, we need to go through 2 steps. So if we calculate the unit of the production rate based on the previous formula, you need to subtract this number by salvage, and then you need to divide the result by estimated total units to be produced. So let's look at the answer. So to calculate the unit of production rate for the sewing machine, you need the cost basis, salvage value over estimated unit produced over useful life, which is unit of the production rate, which gonna be the base cost and subtracted by the salvage over the estimated unit produced over useful life, which is this number, and we're gonna have the unit of the production rate, which gonna be 0.043. So the second one is the calculate the sewing machine depreciation expense, is the second step that I told you before. So actual unit produced multiply by unit of the production rate, and then you're gonna have the depreciation expense for year 1, which can be calculated by multiplying these 2 numbers, and then we're gonna have $645 expense. So for actually solving the crane problem, so again, we need to subtract the salvage value from cost basis over estimated unit produced over useful life. Unit of the production rate can be calculated based on this. So then we have the base cost, and then we have a salvage value for the crane, and then we're gonna have the estimated unit produced over useful life, which at the end we're gonna have 0.069 units of production rate. So second step, you need to multiply this number, this unit of the production rate, by actual unit produced to get depreciation expenses for year 1. Then you're gonna multiply these 2 numbers, and you're gonna have $897 as the depreciation expense. So you're gonna have another example that you can go through that yourself. And then, so that's it for this lesson. So we try to calculate depreciation by using 3 different methodology, and then we compare them and see that in which situation we need to use which one. And yeah, that was this lesson, and I'm happy to go through more example and exercises, and I would appreciate you if you can go yourself through the seminars which is uploaded on the module, and then we're gonna have the online lecture to go through this again, and then make sure that you can understand it and be ready for your assessment. Thank you very much for your listening, and hope see you soon.